This is the Fight for Your Health, the show that teaches you how to master the fine art of living your life on purpose and have a longer, healthier, and happier life through the martial arts lifestyle. The show is hosted by Professor Buitron and his co-host, Grand Master Richard Hackworth. These two experts have combined their efforts and are on a mission to make the world a safer, healthier, and happier place through the martial arts lifestyle. Now, to tell it like it is, here are your...
Hello and welcome to the Fight for Your Health TV show with Professor Buitron as our host, and I am your co-host, Richard Hackworth. And today we are back with a very special guest, the martial arts woman, Andrea Harkins. And Professor Buitron, I'd like to let you get things started here and then start.
Sure. Number one, thank you and we're honored again to have you on our show. It's always a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure to wake up and to read a little bit about your day and read about everything, and those little things motivate people. I want to thank you for standing up as well. Okay, you've been a pillar in the community of the martial arts for women, especially, and we commend you. We commend you.
Thank you.
And Richard, this is our last show for the year, so we want to thank everybody. It's actually
Exactly. We started this podcast with Andrea, and I thought it was to be able to close out the year with her as well. And as we get into the topic here, I just want to say there are a plethora of martial arts podcasts out there now, but there are very few good ones. And hers, I have to say, is one that I listen to. And I find so much inspiration in her shows as well, along with her articles. And she has a free newsletter available from her website. But more than that, I think today's topic is an excellent one to end the year with, because it's one that affects all of us. And Andrea, I'll let you introduce the topic, please.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about 10 ways martial arts builds your confidence. So I have some good pointers and tips on why people should learn a martial art, and specifically how it builds your confidence so that it improves your life overall. Those are the things we're going to talk about today. So it's exciting.
It's awesome.
Well,
That's
as we jump into that, I just wanted to see if I could hit you up for a couple of secrets here on how you come up with your list. And I specifically am wondering, are these traits that you found common amongst the women that you interviewed for your book, The Martial Arts Woman?
Yeah, these traits really are common, but not really just for martial art women. I do find that they typically touch on several of these traits, and I look over here because I have them all written up. So it is important for women to take martial arts because of this confidence building. We need it as women in society to be able to be strong and empowered and overcome the daily obstacles. Even as a martial art woman on social media, I constantly get, proposals for marriage, or can you go on a date with me, or, some kind of sexual innuendo. And, if you look at my things, I am not that I don't show any photos that are like revealing or anything. I'm just a, what I consider the normal martial art woman out there. And so we have to constantly deal with these things, even as martial artists, as women, sexual assaults, we have to constantly battle these things. So confidence is so key in overcoming a lot of this. And so I do see these topics come up a lot with the women, but for anyone who learns a martial art, all 10 of these are going to be confidence builders for those practitioners. So, that's what I see.
Absolutely. And you touched on some great points there, because that continual barrage you see everywhere. And number one, we have to put a stop to that. And we have to start within our own schools. We have to go ahead and, this is going to sound kind of weird, but about 2007, 2008, I ended up putting a rule of no dating within the school. You had girls and guys all of a sudden wanted to date, and students back and forth. And I said, stops right here. Find another school.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a tough balance. It really is. You want to be a martial art woman, you want to put yourself out there. I want to be on social media. I want to spread positive messages, but I have the constant barrage of negative things coming my way that I constantly have to fend off. Thanks to martial arts and my own sense of confidence, I can push it aside, or I can delete and block and do all those things. So
Absolutely.
I really think that the confidence that martial arts has given me allows me to be a public figure and allows me to be someone who doesn't really put up with some of these situations that women have to face continually. Very, martial arts women are often sexualized, and unfortunately, it's some of the women doing that. So you have this strange sense of, when you look at media and martial art uniforms or women, you're constantly seeing very little clothing or very high kicks with the little clothing on. And I always say these are not martial art women. These are actresses. These are models. These are not the everyday martial art women. So, but it sends mixed messages. So again, why we need this confidence, because there are mixed messages about women in martial arts and women in general that we need to be able to overcome as a woman in martial arts.
Absolutely. What would be some of the, I know we're going to go into it right now, but I'll say a question that how would be one of the things that schools can stop that?
It's very difficult because I don't think that it emanates from schools. I think a good school, everybody's treated equally.
Sure.
That's why we all wear the same uniforms. That's why
go.
we achieve the same ranks. There's no separation in gender in a martial arts school. So I really don't think that that's where the problems emanate. I think it's how we're portrayed in media and on social media more than anything. So most schools, if they're a good solid school, they don't even really consider that. And if they do see it, I think it's brought up and addressed. Not always. I mean, there are bad instructors out there, of course. You can take any profession and we can find a bad apple and know that person is doing something they shouldn't be. But I'd say generally, when you're looking at a reputable martial arts school, that this is not as much a problem as it is out in the kind of the public arena.
Absolutely.
So as we go into your top 10 list here, what's your number one item?
Number one is empowerment. I think if you're able to feel a sense of empowerment because of your training in martial arts, it teaches you empowerment, right? Think about the first time, whether you were a kid or an adult, think about that first time you learned how to kick or punch and yell. Those very simple tasks create a huge sense of empowerment. I've used those very simple skills in just seminars where I'm talking and I say, okay, everybody stand up. It might be a positivity speech or something about empowerment. I'll just say, everybody get up. We're going to punch together. We're going to do a punch with a yell. Most people have never done this if they've never practiced martial art, but they find it so empowering. So when you have that sense of empowerment from the kicks, the punches, the physical movements of martial arts, whether a beginner or advanced, you have a sense of empowerment over your life, and that's where it builds confidence. So it's a really important one and kind of the whole base of your confidence building in martial arts.
So leading in from empowerment, what would be the next key thing for developing confidence?
The next point that I wrote down, and these are not necessarily in order of importance, although they probably do flow, is the self-improvement. It kind of builds upon what I was just talking about, learning kicks and punches and yells and how that empowers you. When you start learning a martial art and improving because, gosh, okay, I started these kicks, I tried these kicks, I didn't know what I was doing. Now I understand that the technical part of the kick. It's not just throwing your leg up. There's technical parts of this movement that actually make it work properly. For a kick, for the way I learned how to do a front kick, for instance, it was, bring your knee up, kick out and use the ball of your foot, pull your knee back, put your foot down, 4 steps. Okay, so you start learning this and you're like, wow, I'm really improving. I'm really getting better. I feel more comfortable. I'm not off balance. And that's just one simple example. But as you learn a martial art, you gradually improve in all areas of that martial art. And that helps you just feel like your life is improving. A lot of times we feel stuck. We feel like, gosh, nothing's happening in my life. I'm not moving forward in any way. Martial arts are one of those things that really helps you constantly improve. And that's a great empowering feeling. And it really does build your confidence because you suddenly realize, hey, I'm capable of all this cool stuff that I never knew I could do before. And that's so key and that's so important.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the professor would agree with me that the first 2 topics you touched on, for men, we really draw a lot of our confidence and sense of self-improvement and empowerment from improved physical skills. And I'm sure he sees that in his classes all the time, that as people become physically stronger, their confidence increases. And I know as a kid, I had a friend that he was doing poorly in class. And during recess time, we would play and it got to where he could do a cartwheel. But mastering the cartwheel, of all things, gave him this sense of confidence and empowerment that carried into the classroom. And he actually started getting better grades. He would stand up to read in front of the class and volunteer, things that he had never done before. And I was surprised that, reflecting back on it now, that I was aware of that, because that was like 4th or 5th grade for me. But to realize even at that age that people draw, particularly males, draw a lot of their confidence from physical ability. I think you're pretty right. And Professor, in coming from your powerlifting background and everything, have you seen quite a bit of that?
Yes, when you see it, let me put it to you this way. We teach 3 arts here at the school, and we teach each one in its own trajectory. We don't mix them. We teach Kempo, we're American Kempo. We teach Sabat, of course, and we teach Capoeira. Capoeira is the one that right away you can see the kids in my wife's class. They come in that are very low self-esteem, bowed down with their head down. They barely want to look at you. A month later, they're with their head up, running around talkative. When they came in there, they wouldn't say a word. And now you see them jumping in and out. So I see that quite a bit. And like you said, with a cartwheel, that's what I Capoeira does that. It's for one of the first exercises that you learn. You better do a cartwheel. And it doesn't matter what age you are. And what I've seen with that art is the self-confidence, the self-esteem that it builds. I haven't seen it. I've seen it in all the other ones, but I haven't seen it as powerful right away as I've seen it with Capoeira.
And so, Andrea, going into your 3rd recommendation, what would that be?
So the other thing that builds confidence when you're a student are your instructors and your peers. They help you build your confidence. There's a sense with your peers, for instance, of camaraderie. You have a group of people, perhaps you tend to hang out or kind of, get along with those people who are at a same rank as you often because you work out with them a lot. But as white belts, for instance, you go in and there's some other white belts. You kind of bond together and you know that you're all going through the similar thing. You get this sense of feeling like you're part of something, part of a group. Maybe you've never felt like you were accepted by other groups or you were as good as other people, whatever it might be. Suddenly you're part of this group. You have an instructor who should be positive and motivating and empowering. And then you have some peers who are all working toward the same goals. And this really creates a great sense of confidence. You don't feel alone, although martial art really is a practice of the individual, right? You as an individual improve, and yet you have this sense of teamwork and you have this sense of camaraderie, and that truly helps build your confidence. You don't feel alone. And as long as you have, like I said, a good instructor who's empowering. My sons both did football in their youth. And what I noticed about the coaches is that they were so mean. They were so mean and demeaning. And they felt like that was the way to get the kids to do what they wanted them to do. And I never agreed with that. But that's football. In martial arts, we should see a different type of instructor. We should see the instructor who, perhaps is strict or whatnot, but they are also encouraging, empowering. They provide the tools that the student needs. So that sense of being with your instructors and your peers truly builds your confidence in ways that you don't notice right away. But down the line, you're like, okay, if not for this person, if not for this instructor, I wouldn't be doing what I am doing today. So that sense of family maybe is truly important to build your confidence.
And then what would be the next thing to really draw confidence out?
Yeah, well, I think all of this that I've talked about so far sort of leads into this change in your own mindset. And when you finally flip that switch in your mindset, where you go from, like we talked about, lack of confidence, lack of ability, to a recognition that you are learning and improving, and wow, this feels pretty good. I'd rather feel good about myself. I'd rather feel good about what I'm doing in my life than not good about it. And martial arts creates that ability for you to truly feel good. To learn that mindset is very important. Being able to tell yourself in your own mind, I can do this. And when you flip that switch to feeling like you can't accomplish something to a feeling of knowing that you can, because now you've taken these little steps and you've achieved along the way, and suddenly you're like, I can do this. That switch in mindset is very empowering and very powerful. And it does create that sense of confidence. It does build that sense of confidence. And it's very, very important both in martial arts. And then, as we know, if we apply that same mindset to our lives, then we also achieve in our lives, in our personal lives outside of martial arts. So it really is a valuable way to view yourself, and it is improved through your martial art practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the professor probably has some thoughts on mindset as well. I'm sure from our previous conversations.
What I'm looking at is that you're touching base on some of the old principles of why martial arts are. A lot of people want to belong to something. That's where it gets, what that confidence is. It's in there. Some of, how can I put it? People want to belong to a team. Some people were not able to be in football or in basketball or cheerleading or what have you, and they're brought to the martial arts and they excel, and that becomes their niche. That becomes their team. That becomes their group. And I think you're right on point. And I'm going to kind of put it towards Savate a little bit here, because in France, Savate was very different. It was a different mindset. You were a student, basically they paid attention to you once you were there, but they really didn't pay attention to you. Things changed when you became a silver glove. You became a silver glove of Savate. Everybody knew it. It was a totally different type of respect. And then when you became a monitor or a professor really of Savate, you had another total different level of respect. It was kind of like, one of my old students said it kind of reminded me of the mob. You were just nobody, and all of a sudden you were a made person. I said, yeah, it was a different type of respect that you had. Same thing happens with some of the schools. You become a black belt, whether it's in your school, the whole community of martial arts, usually in the city, knows who the black belts are. There's a different type of respect amongst them. And you see them in work, and you see them and you see that even though the persons are from different schools and different arts, you'll see them try to help each other out there. Usually that's the case. That's what I'm getting at. So it's a different type of, like a fraternal bond or something.
Yeah, and that actually leads into my next topic, which I called earning rank, but it's earning respect really. But earning rank is such a confidence builder, right?
Sure.
You go from not being known or nobody, white belt, yellow belt. Okay, let's see if this person's going to actually get through the middle ranks, because that's where the turning point is, right? You get to the middle and then you're like, oh, nah, I'm not going to do this. The ones that start moving past that and earning higher rank or earning more respect. And when you do that, it does give you a sense of confidence. I know earning my first degree black belt was so important to me, not because I wanted to flaunt it, I'm a black belt now. No, it was more about years of effort and overcoming struggles to get to class on time, or working in a family and martial arts, and so to earn that, I was like, I did something really cool. I did something really cool in my life, and that gave me a whole new sense of confidence, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to go out and teach my own program now. I'm going to figure out how to do that. And later, earning a second degree and over time of teaching, I still carried that confidence from earning those higher ranks that allow me to sit here today.
Absolutely.
If I was just a yellow belt trying to talk about these topics, I wouldn't have anything to say. But it's from earning the rank and earning the experiences over all these years that I have the confidence to do something like this. So yeah, I totally see where you're coming from on the importance of rank, both for the student and for the community and for the school. It's a very powerful thing, and it truly builds confidence for many people, right? If you earn a high degree, your instructor probably has a sense of confidence. Hey, I am doing a good job teaching. I'm getting these people to where they want to be. And it's really a great confidence builder for both instructors, students.
I think that your opening statement about earning rank is also earning respect kind of brought back, through the floodgates of my mind, a memory of when I first started in karate. I was the only American in the class. And I told a friend of mine, and I said, I feel like some of these guys want me to fail. And he told me, he said, Richard, they don't want you to fail, but they want you to earn it. And if you earn it, then you're going to be more proud of it. And it kind of goes back to that old saying of the things you work hardest for are the things that you appreciate the most. But at the same time, if the instructor was to take it easy on me and kind of float me through the exam to give me the next belt, nobody else in that class was going to feel I deserved it. So at the same time, you're right, it is earning respect among your peers.
Yeah. And that gives you a lot of confidence when because some martial arts don't have rank systems. Some don't. But there's still always a hierarchy of experience, let's say. And that gives you confidence knowing that, yeah, I earned this. I did the steps. I've heard many people say, I don't want to just test for my black belt. I don't want to just be given a black belt. I want to earn it. And earning it is where the confidence builds, because you put in that effort, the hard work, and you know that you've done everything that you can to earn it. And whenever you earn something, whenever you do the hard work and the effort, that really builds your confidence.
Absolutely.
So moving on to the next item, what would that be?
Yeah. So, talking about confidence and experience, the next step might be leading others. And at first, leading another group, for instance, I know when I was about a green belt, I started teaching other white belts some of the simple skills. And I wasn't that confident, I wasn't that comfortable doing it. But the experience of leading others was very special, because it gave me a different perspective about martial arts. It's not just about learning, but it's about giving back. It's about teaching others. So leading others and learning to speak in front of a group kind of gives you these unwritten leadership skills. there's nothing written. You'll never find something, a lot of times, let's say, you won't find anything in a handbook or anything that says, hey, you're also going to learn how to be a leader when you become a martial artist. But you truly do. And even when I taught martial arts, even when we taught little kids, we would give the kids opportunities to come up and lead stretching, with us standing next to them. After they had been there a while, they saw kind of how we did it. And they would come up and they would lead the class in the stretching. And we know that we were giving them a tool that's going to be with them forever. If you can stand up in front of a group of people, you can always earn a living. You can always be empowered. You can always share information. You have a valuable skill. And this skill really creates an incredible amount of confidence for a lifelong journey of leadership. Whether you're a parent, that's a leader, or going to work, whatever your work tasks are, you can be a leader. Everybody is a leader in something. And so these lessons in leadership are very valuable.
And I know we've kind of passed the halfway point here, but we still have a few more items to get. So I want to let you just kind of rocket through those with us so that our listeners don't miss out on anything.
Okay. So yeah, I can move a little faster, but the next one is consistency. And I think it kind of builds upon all of the things that we've been talking about, because you can't earn rank without consistency. You can't become a good leader without it. You can't have self-improvement without it. So consistency brings about improvement and even expertise. And that's as you cross those thresholds from beginner to experience to expert, you have improved yourself in ways, again, that you probably never realized that you could. And working upon your martial arts skills and constantly working, consistently applying, those types of things give you a great sense of confidence. Of course, for number 8 here, I have self-defense, and we all know self-defense is very important. As we talked about at the beginning of the show, women have some specific issues, but when they learn self-defense and they understand awareness and personal space and looking confident, even if they don't feel confident, and all of those things are very, very important. And of course, then they also have tools. So if somebody grabs them, you have some tools to disengage from the situation. Not everything's 100% foolproof, but you have tools now. And so for women, self-defense is so important. It really boosts their confidence, really allows them to go into the world and think, I'm going to do everything I can to be safe. And then I also have the tools to help myself if I get into a situation where I'm struggling with something. Developing focus is another very powerful tool that you learn in martial arts. And I remember my instructor always pointing me out for focus, because I was one of those people who would stand in attention, and I would not move. I barely close my eyes. And he always pointed out how focused I was. And I learned that applying that sense of focus in life, in martial arts and in life, truly gave me a great sense of confidence. Because you know why? Because I stand out. I stand out because of that. I stand out because I have focus. And a lot of people don't have that sense of focus. This is not to say that everything in my life is focused. I'm, working on only one thing at a time or anything like that. But the sense of focus is when I am working on something that I give it my 100% and that I do everything I can, just like I did in martial arts. So that sense of focus is truly important as a confidence builder. And then number 10, big number 10, is probably the most important for how we're living today, our world around us today. And that is decreasing your stress. It's one of those things that happens in martial arts because you are engaged in activities where you're not thinking about anything else, right? You, in a martial art class, you don't have time to think about anything else. People are telling you what to do. You're learning new things. You have to get up and show it. You have to try, to figure something out. You have to keep trying something because you can't do it yet. There is no time to think about anything else. It's fitness with a purpose if you want to go that route. But it truly does help you decrease stress. Right now, I'm very active in Tai Chi. I've been doing Tai Chi for several years, on and off. And man, I can't tell you how great that is for decreasing my level of stress. I do an hour of it on Saturday mornings. I practice during the week, and it's so relaxing and calm. And it really is a wonderful way to overcome the stress that we face today in our world. So those are my top 10 confidence builders.
Absolutely.
Well, but before we finish out the show, actually, something came to my mind on the topic of confidence, and I don't want to leave here without getting it in. But I had a question I wanted to hit the professor up with on confidence building, and what I'm wondering is, how do you take someone like in Savat, for example, who isn't confident, and turn that person around to where they have the courage to get in the ring and compete?
Well, number one, you have to start by teaching. Number one, you have to teach the basics. And by teaching the basics, you're building confidence. And one cannot throw somebody straight into sparring. That's the worst thing anybody can do. Not only can somebody get hurt, somebody can get killed. So you have to, everything in Savat is done for a purpose. There's a pedagogy behind it. You're building up the person. You're kind of, you're not overstepping kick, or you're not overstepping, and I'm going to put it to you this way, kicks is a good one. There are certain kicks that look similar, but you teach one because it's the hardest one to teach, because the other one's easier. You'll learn it. You might learn at a grade later on, like in green glove. You might learn a kick that's a lot easier than one that you're doing in blue glove. But in blue, you're going to learn the harder one. Why? Because that harder one's going to teach you not only how to use your balance, but it's also going to teach you how to use your muscles and so on and so forth. So the harder one's actually producing your confidence and producing your talent. So how can I put it? Nowadays, I see this, and this is happening with Savat right now. They're no longer separating kicks of from one that you learned in a particular glove. You're just going out there and just doing it. Nobody's really looking at you how you're doing it anymore. So you'll end up picking up the easier one, thinking it's the hardest one. And guess what happens? You're not really building anything. You're just using the easier one. Well, the harder one in the future would be easy. You understand what I'm saying? If you can get what I mean. For example, there used to be a frontal revert, which is similar from an inside-outside crescent, similar. And there's a lateral revert, which is similar to a hook kick. And then there's something called tandu, which is literally a lateral inside-outside crescent kick when your body's in a lateral position. That one's a lot easier to learn than all the other ones. But you learn the lateral reverse, which is the hardest one first. But nowadays they call everything a revert. Okay? So they've taken all of them together and just kind of bunched them together and say, okay, now it's just called a revert. While before there were different kicks for different purposes.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying?
I think you make a very valid point there with, that goes back to the thing that I've experienced a lot of, was that mastering a physical skill would skyrocket confidence. And before we head out, I want to thank Andrea for being here again today. And I feel almost like when she's here, it's like a webinar. It's not so much an interview, but it's I learn as much when she's here, so I appreciate that. So and somebody asked me the other day if I was friends with Andrea Harkins, and I said, well, I know I'm a fan, but I don't know if she counts me as a friend. But yeah, it's I really appreciate these times to get to be here with you.
Thank you, and you're definitely a friend. Thank you both. I had a wonderful time.
No, thank you. Merry Christmas to both of you.
Yeah,
and for those out there, please be safe, stay safe, and we'll see you in the new year. and we'll have plenty of stuff coming in. Of course, we're going to have you back, Andrea.
Oh, I'm always happy to be on the show. Thank you.
And we'll touch base on some other issues we'll point out and take it from there.
Sounds good.
Until next time, much peace.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.